We are live. Hello, everyone. I saw a little orb just fly by there. Here, went right over here somewhere. Welcome, everyone. Thanks. We got some people on here already. Welcome to today's daily tune in. This one is going to be a fun one. As I say, because there seems like there's a lot of information that wants to come through, and that gets me overwhelmed sometimes. So that was how I was feeling yesterday, which is when I decided to make this into a 4-part series. But I also am feeling like there's still a lot. But today, hello, Kristen, welcome. While we wait for some people to come online, just share where you're from. I love to see where everybody is around the world on here. It's been kind of exciting to tune into that. Also, I wanted to give a big shout out to and a thank you to Kara and Victoria. They were supporting from yesterday's daily tune in. They supported the platform. They supported the daily tune-ins through buymeacoffee.com, and I'm super grateful for that. I can't tell you what it feels like to get into my email and say, someone bought you a coffee. Did you all see that beautiful that orb that just went right there? We've got beings with us. I think that's the most exciting thing. I don't know if it's the most exciting, but it's pretty exciting. So just watch around me. They're floating around. But to get into my email and see, someone bought you a coffee, that just means the world. That, to take a couple of clicks later after this daily tune in and to give back some of the energy that's going into these. And I don't expect it, but it's still, like we all want to be seen, we all want to be heard, we all want to know that we're making a difference. And by doing that, it also, I want you all to know that the idea behind that is to make these even bolder, even better, put more marketing behind this, to have a more robust platform eventually, to be able to do these daily tune-ins on a bigger scale. That's the big version of the vision, and I want to make sure that I'm sharing that with you, because it really isn't about a cup of coffee or a hot cacao. It's about a bigger vision that is being birthed just right here, right now, with your consciousness and mind coming together. So big things are kind of organizing with these daily tune-ins. I don't really know what those big things are, but I have an idea. So thank you for supporting that, y'all. I really, really appreciate it. So we have Hawaii. There's lots of sun in Hawaii. We actually have sun here today, so I'm super excited about that. So aloha from Hawaii. And then Bluebell, PA, Kristen. Hi, Kristen. Yes, of course we did. I don't remember Bluebell though. You were in New Jersey though. Yeah. So I don't know if you're visiting or what, but I know Bluebell, and I think I remember you mentioning Bluebell actually. So welcome everyone. I'm going to jump in now to what we're talking about today, because today is going to be, and tomorrow will be, a topic that will hopefully stretch your consciousness. The idea of consciousness is our fifth, we're tapping now into the fifth dimensional part of us. Remember, we've got this soul, the soul part of us. This is the fifth dimensional frequency. It's of a higher frequency. It's at its lowest frequency. It's a fifth dimensional frequency. And this is the part of us that is plugged into a higher source, to whether you call it God, nature, spirit, great spirit, Buddha, whatever it is to you, it's the greater source of creation. And that soul part has been the part that has been greatly hidden from us. Our traditional education systems, our traditional religious systems has kind of just, kind of gotten close enough to the truth to allow us to feel it, but hasn't gone all the way in to really dedicate our consciousness to understanding more and more about the soul part of us. And what we know is, when the soul is nurtured, when we create from here, create life, create reality from here, when this consciousness expands into higher awareness, by our awareness coming into our soul nudges, our soul ideas, our soul frequencies, as this expands, so too does our energetic self. As our energetic self expands, we move into those higher emotions of love and joy and unity consciousness, which is what the 5D earth, this new earth that we are creating, is all about unity consciousness, right? So as our energetic selves start to expand, so too then do our physical worlds. Our physical expression of lives expand as well. So the consciousness is really the part of us. When we nurture that, everything else takes care of itself, because it's the next step in the evolution of our energetics as well as our physical world. So the consciousness is really what we're doing here. We say we're coming on the daily tune in to tune into the energies. We're tuning into the higher frequency of perspective, of wisdom, that will allow us to expand our consciousness, then expand our understanding. And remember, you know how it is when you get that aha moment, you're like, oh, what do? Your heart expands because you have a whole new understanding of your world in that moment. And that then creates a ripple effect into your physical world and changes things. And sometimes when the physical world changes, as we know, if we know, Earth is a consciousness, and when she has to shift, there is some fallout sometimes. When the Earth shifts, there's movement, there's some chaos. So when we expect and know that chaos in the physical realm of our existence, when it happens, we know that this because a massive shift has happened from within and is then extending out energetically. And when energy goes through Earth, it has to shift in the physical. So it's this ripple effect of when consciousness is activated or expands, everything expands. So there is some energetic expansion, which means there's going to be physical expansion in your world. What that means, though, is we have to be able to know that the chaos is the ripple effect of expansion, which means we can then let go of fear of chaos in our lives when it starts to fall apart. When things we see and things we've known and become comfortable with start to fall apart, we can then say, oh, there's expansion happening. Step back and just kind of allow it to happen without any attachment to it, without trying to control it, without trying to keep it. Can you imagine if there was an earthquake and we tried to hold on to the earth so it didn't shift? It would be ridiculous. And that's kind of, not in a judgy way, but for lack of better words, it's ridiculous to try to hold on to our reality when it needs to shift, when it's trying to expand, and we aren't allowing it because we want to control things and keep them the same. Consciousness is always in expansion mode, and when we allow it to expand, amazing things happen in our lives. So we've been talking about how the old world matrix has been dismantled. The energy grid that was holding that together, this, you can imagine a web of energy that's around our planet. That web was hijacked, so to speak, by fragmented souls for millennia now. And those fragmented souls started to actually have words here I want to use. They created gross patterns of programming, and these gross patterns were about let me just read my words. The gross patterns were passed down from generation to generation to generation of human, because they were encoded. These patterns in the grid of Earth went into humans to enslave them in this web. And this web was for the benefit of the fragmented souls who had fallen out of their truthful nature, which is fully conscious to the higher source, and had fallen into the programming of fear of some sort, of losing power. And when you start to lose power, you grasp for all the things that have more power than you. And when they started grasping, so to speak, to the souls who still had power, and brought fear to them, and brought the idea of disease, brought the idea of aging, brought the idea of being enslaved to in service to these higher fragmented souls, that became the way of life. It became the programming of humans. Therefore, when the next generation of humans came in, that programming came through their DNA. It came through, in the conditioning, and it just kept. And when that happens, as you know, like generation after generation after generation, this coding just kept becoming more and more powerful within us humans, and we completely have forgotten that we are pure consciousness made from a higher frequency of consciousness that we are not even close to tapping into yet, but we're getting closer at this time. So that whole grid has been fully dismantled because of some events behind the scenes that have taken place. A lot of those events really started to ramp up. Was that the dog that made that noise? Ramp up in 1987. So I'm going to come back to that because I want to give you guys some tangible nuggets of events that have happened behind the scenes. But all we've been privy to is the things that we can see that were seeded by the fragmented souls who were, trying to keep power over our energetics and our structures of DNA over our lifetime. And when we have seen that, when we see it, it then ties into the programming that we've had. So we're like, that's just how it is. And we've resigned ourselves to majority of humanity has resigned themselves to just operate with that programming. However, because of how low the vibration was getting on Earth and how we were coming into this this orbitary place in space where we were coming into the higher frequencies of the photon belt that we're in, that we are now fully in, it was a perfect and prime time for us to be updated and upgraded. So these amazing events took place to support us. I'm going to stop right there because I want to just give you a metaphor so that this isn't some weird ethereal thing. And I put a video out about an hour or two ago, probably a little bit longer than that, but I'm going to repeat it here. If you think of your computer, I'm on a MacBook right now, so I'm going to use this as my example. If you have an Android, whatever kind of computer you use, or a smartphone, when Apple or whoever makes Android, I don't know, when they decide that there is an update, there is an advanced level of technology that needs to be updated in that computer from a remote place, they have programmers that program the updates with coding. Coding is in numbers. They code the updates and then push them out to each individual device. And when we get our little thing in the corner, it says there's an update available. We hit update, and it then pulls in all of the new coding that updates the software and the operating system into a higher level of existence. I want to say, but into a higher level of functionality. So if we are having that kind of technology, we are experiencing that kind of technology in physical form, is it so hard to believe that there is a prime creator, source creator, that is looking at us and saying, oh my God, my people that I have put on this planet that I love so much, they are being taken advantage of. They've got corrupted files all over the place. I need to push an update. And that update for us comes through our consciousness. And through the consciousness then gets updated through higher frequencies. And then those higher frequencies kind of push the update that is activated, that is already encoded in our DNA. The DNA then pushes the activation out to each of the 12 strands of DNA, each have a resonant chakra energy center. So that update then gets pushed into each of the energetic centers of our chakras. So that updates our energetic self. So our consciousness pulls in the update, goes down into the DNA, our energy centers get an update. And once that happens, then the update then has to be made in the physical because we've expanded, our energy's expanded. So when we are in our physical form and all of a sudden something happens where we find some chaos, and that chaos feels uncomfortable, that chaos feels like a need for change, the chaos feels like a need for an updated circle of influence, a sphere of influence. Maybe relationships all of a sudden just feel like they're not resonant anymore. Maybe a job all of a sudden is like, I can't do this anymore. It's because an update has come in, a higher level of operating system is in within your system that has to be pushed forward. So the chaos comes in the form of feelings, because now remember, your energetic system has taken an update. So it's expanded and it's like, sweet, we got a new operating system. And all of a sudden you're ignoring this expansion because it requires a little chaos to get the update to then go through the change. So while you have two choices. You can accept the update and allow things to shift and move in your life and be flexible and be in the flow and ease of change so that you can expand into a higher level of awareness, or you can ignore it, stay in the dissonance of what's within, when with your world you're trying to hang on to things shifting, and it becomes really hard, really uncomfortable, and then you start to be like, oh god, I'm so stressed out all the time, I'm anxious. And that is just a reaction to not pushing update on your phone, and you're trying to do things in the world with an outdated phone. But it's your multidimensional body that's outdated because not all the parts are integrated. So can you understand and can you wrap yourself around the idea that you are constantly being updated, and there is a higher level of help that we are getting to fully be completely updated over and over and over again? And these updates have been coming in the last decade. I mean, they're always coming in, but especially they've been updated within our systems so that they could work together with these higher frequencies that we are now living in. And that's what's spurring this mass awakening. We are in and primed, and we've got these updates that are within our bodies, within our multidimensional bodies now, that are waiting to just be updated. And that just means we have to just sit back and watch this 3D world, this matrix, this old thing dismantle in front of us without any fear, because we know it's in the highest good of expansion. So that was the whole idea of yesterday, kind of going into the conversation that we did. So today I want to give you some of I'm going to break it into 2 days, because there's about 5 different updates that have taken place over the last few years, since 2019. I'm going to start there, but I want to go back to kind of like the humanity's fall from, the fall from grace. Grace is pure divine love. It is when we are fully aligned with our highest consciousness and we live according to that highest consciousness, our highest soul frequency. And, millennia ago, as I was saying, we fell from that. We've forgotten who we are. Somebody forgot who they were, and then they spread that fear to someone else, and it spread like a disease, and we became corrupted and diseased in humanity, which then comes out into our physical world, and we see it now more and more and more. We've got some major, news stories that are revealing some major corruption, and in the last day or two, that's like circling around. We're going to see more and more of all of these things that have built, and we've kind of all felt like there's something not right here. And now we're starting to get more and more evidence of it, because it has to fall. It has already been dismantled in consciousness. Therefore, in the physical form, we're going to be seeing it. So if we just step back and watch it and know it's part of the expansion, it's not going to touch us. Because remember, in this world, as we rise up into the 4th and 5th dimensional worlds, they don't touch this 3D world. In this 3D world, although we are a physical being, the 3D world that was originally programmed in and by those fragmented souls is starting to fall away. The systems of this 3D world are falling away, so that we can rebuild new systems that are in a higher consciousness and supportive, and in a unity consciousness rather than a fragmented consciousness of duality. So the critical mass of people that now have a high enough consciousness to be able to hold the consciousness of change and transformation during the chaos has already been reached. So all we have to do is be part of that, to just support the changes and allow the changes to happen and allow things to fall away that are going to fall away, and just hold the line of a higher vision of consciousness, so that we can get through this time of the chaos, and then be in a point to where we can rebuild. And that this year is going to be a lot of that. We are going to see a lot of the dismantling. We've been talking about that for weeks now on the daily tune-ins. So as we fell from grace, remember that we also created the gross patterns of aging, disease, and decay to manifest in the bodies. So our bodies became extremely unhealthy. And this was passed on through generation after generation into the enslavement codes. We become enslaved in the idea of disease and aging and corruption and manipulation. And it was critical that these codes be transmuted, because otherwise we would have destroyed our entire planet. And we have plenty of evidence that that was happening. So in 2020, it was some massive updates started to take place within our bodies that started changing us, whether we were aware of it or not. So I want to talk about some of those changes. Okay, let me go back here, look at my notes. So in late 20, again, I'm not gonna give you all of it because there's already a lot of information that I've given, but I want to be really I want to be as succinct as I can with what we're talking about here, so that your ego can take this in and be like, okay, this makes sense. Your consciousness will most likely get it on some form. It'll sound truthful, even though we have to still expand our consciousness to really understand and grasp all of this, because again, we have not been conditioned to understand the higher level of consciousness and the higher level of operating systems that we have been that we operate from, quite frankly, but we've been closed down to it and been operating from the physical world so much. So later in the months of 2019, in August, we were actually, first let me start in 1987. In 1987, there was the first annual Harmonic Convergence of consciousness that came together to help to hold consciousness, to rise it up into a higher level of a group and mass meditation. I'm going to call it a meditation, but with the intention of raising the level of conscious collective consciousness in our planet. And this was how this was started, because science was starting to show that if consciousness, groups of them came together in one intention to actually do something with an intention, that intention could be created in consciousness and then flow out into the physical form. And in 1987 was the first time this was attempted, and this whole activity of light raised the level of consciousness. And remember, I've shared this before on here. It only takes 1%, the square root of 1% of a population, to come together with one intention to actually change the consciousness. And if you do the math, I think it comes to like 8,000 people. So now we have a lot of different pockets of groups that come together throughout the year now. There's the Harmonic Convergence comes together every year. And then there's also, all these pockets of people that come together on different portal days to have mass group intentional meditations to raise the frequency of Earth. And that has been happening consistently and in growing numbers since 1987. Y'all, the impact of that has been so powerful to raise the collective consciousness of our planet and of humanity. So that has been a massive, massive help in the rise of awareness and awakening. So if you are invited to ever do anything like that, take part, because we have to remember that our consciousness is way more powerful than we can ever know. So what you can create in consciousness, you can create with wherever you want. And as long as it's in alignment with your multidimensional self and you have your thoughts, your consciousness, I'm going to call those thoughts, okay? They're not made up from the ego, but the consciousness comes in for an idea and it blends with the fourth dimensional part of you and it makes your heart expand. And then your ego says, yes, I want to be a part of that. And all of that integration comes into one conscious idea, it will be created. And when that happens in a group setting where two or more are gathered, it multiplies and expands. So this is the time of light. This is the time that we come together on these. When we come together on these daily tune-ins, the consciousness of what we are doing here expands, multiplies, and has an effect on the entire planet. So that's why I like when I see where everybody is on those days where we have people all over the world. We are like transformers of this expansion all over our planet. We're in Montgomery County, yeah. We're at Pennsylvania, and Hawaii. I'm in Ukraine, and we've got London now, and Canada. So can you imagine now we're all expanding together and this energy is like shoo, 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 shoo. And now just from what we're doing here has a great effect on what's going on outside of us and within us. So this is the power of these harmonic convergences of consciousnesses coming together intentionally. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this every day, whether I had one person on it, whether I have had no people on it, or whether I have 20 people. And the hope is that eventually we'll have hundreds of people, not because I want to be popular or have followers, but because I know the power of what we're doing here. And this is why I bring the light that comes through me. It's not mine. It comes through me to share with you so that we can all expand together and realize what a huge difference just being together like this. We don't have to go out with our shields and our swords and our guns and all, we don't have to be protesting if you can't get out and protest. This is our stand. This is our revolution in consciousness by just expanding together. And when we can do this every single day, the light that goes on and expands through our planetary grid now, because that grid that was built on those fragmented ideals that has now just been dismantled, and the web that is around us now is fully in mass critical functionality now, of fully in support of unity consciousness, of the fifth dimensional consciousness. And when we tap into that, we then spread it all through there to all of humanity. That's pretty cool, and it doesn't take much effort. You can do this work from your couch. You can do it from the bed. You can do it through your computer like we're doing it now. And that's what's so, so amazing. So in 2019, then, we had to prepare for the decade. 2020 to 2030 is going to be, and we've already known, we're in, 2 years into it, we're like, whoa, this decade's been intense. It's going to get even more intense, but for a completely different way in which we have known intensity. It's going to continue to get better and better and better as long as we just observe and just let the old stuff fall away as easily and without fear as possible, knowing that it's clearing the way for the mid and the later parts of this decade to build into something amazing that is created in unison in the unity consciousness. So in 2019, to prepare for this decade, the harmonic convergence that happened in August of that year met a frequency that allowed our inner, our higher consciousness to activate the 12 fifth dimensional solar strands of DNA. So those solar strands were activated through light that was received, photonically from the solar light. And this is the DNA that is now being utilized. Okay, so the update was brought in, but now it has already been activated this year. and it's being activated and utilized for the transfiguration of the third dimensional physical, mental, ethereal, and emotional carbon-based bodies that are now transfiguring into the crystalline bodies. So all of the physical changes you're having in your body are now activated through those 12 fifth dimensional strands of DNA. The fifth dimensional strands are of a higher frequency of healing. So if you are having weird stuff going on in your body, you're having the aches and pains, you're having the symptoms, maybe there's some disease that has bubbled up. This is that it is pulling it out of your body. If you can put the old programming aside, the old paradigms that disease means something bad, your body is, when disease or illness comes up, has been designed to tell you that something's not aligned or imbalanced in your body, to pay attention and to be able, through consciousness alone, to heal it. So if you can work with the modern day of where you are, of your modern day programming, and also expand into the possibility, and most likely the most likable possibility is anything going on in your body is happening to pull all of that density out, and then you can heal it. We can heal it through these beautiful, beautiful convergences of harmonic presence and consciousness to heal all of humanity in the physical nature, in the physical body. Again, expanding your mind into that being a possibility. Can you imagine the peace? Can you imagine the letting go of fear that many will have if they're like, okay, maybe, and I'm not giving false hope. I'm telling you, this is what's happening. Therefore, if you can embrace and open up that everything in your body that's happening is from a healing nature and of a healing consciousness, it's of the chaos that has to happen to push it all out of your body, because your body now is coming into a crystalline base rather than the denser, heavier carbon base. When it's crystalline and working in a higher level of frequency, the disease and dis-ease that is dense. It cannot withstand the higher frequencies of the fifth dimensional DNA that's being activated. Okay. The crystalline bodies are the vehicles, so to speak, of the fifth dimensional Earth. We cannot go in a carbon-based body into a higher level of frequency that's at 40 hertz or higher into the new Earth frequency, and have it be comfortable. It would blast our bodies with too much energy, and a dense physical body cannot make it in those higher frequencies. So all of that stuff has to be pulled out. Okay. I've got 4 more things to cover, but I'm going to stop there for today because I want to just allow some of that to settle in. We're going to keep going because then we move into what happened in December of 2019, and some major things happened there as far as pushing the updates. So in 2019, an update was pushed to activate those 12 fifth dimensional strands of DNA that they came online, but they didn't get activated until this year. So that's how these updates work. They go and they sit in your body until it's time. And now in these last 2 years, it's been time for a lot to be activated. So I'm going to keep going tomorrow to let you know all of the other things that have been activated in consciousness. Okay. So this is really this series is all about your fifth dimensional soul consciousness. Okay. So it's the part of you can't see, the part of you're probably less familiar with, but the part that makes all the difference to be updated because it will have an effect on everything. Okay. Let me take a sip of my tea and see what everybody's got to say over here. I'm hanging on here and spreading the light on the dark chaos that is happening in 3D Quebec. Yeah. The Canadians, Australians, y'all, we're getting close to in the US, but where it gets worse is when it's almost to the point of the shift. Okay. So hold the faith there, Isabel. You're a transformer now. You're on here. That world cannot exist anymore. It's just the last remaining dismantling pieces that seem really scary. It's like like in an earthquake, it's like the big one, and then you'll have some aftershocks and stuff. But you guys are in the big part of the dismantling, and I understand that that can be disconcerting and can bring a lot of fear. Hold the line as well as you can, and keep in your sovereign self of trust and faith, and knowing that this is the chaos that has to occur before a massive expansion can happen. Got a little fuzzy that's floating around. Tracy, good afternoon from UK. I love it. London. My bathtub in London, you lucky duck. I would love to be in a bathtub. Florida, yeah. Austin, Texas. Oh, Ashley, I live in Austin. Good morning from California, man. You guys, we've got people all over. Can you imagine what's happening just right now with all of us? And we're going to do something actually before we end. Thank you. Not a lot is starting to make sense, especially. Now a lot is starting to make sense, especially about the activations. Good. Make sure you're back here, Kazembe, for tomorrow, because there's going to be some more dots connected. I just don't want to spew too much information all in one. I'm holding some incredible things are happening. Good, Isabel. I love it. Kara, you're holding the line. I know, lady in Pittsburgh. You're doing an amazing job. I feel it. I know it. Kristen, I lost my hearing after an activation in 2006. I'm wondering if it's because my body wasn't ready. Oh, for that level of life. I'm hoping my hearing returns after my body. I got the chills completely on that. Trust that. Just keep trusting that, lady, because I have the chills on that, and typically the chills are confirmation of full truth. I feel that, actually. This all resonates so wonderfully. Thank you. Okay, so since we are on here from all over the world, I'm just going to give like a quick 30-second, like, so much gratitude and from our hearts, like, we'll all be activated at the same time. No. Good question. I'm going to answer that really quickly. Trish asked, will all of this be activated at the same time? Hold on. Let me correct myself. Yes, it will be activated at the same time. However, the level of density still that we hang on to will prevent the full expression of it in form. Okay. So the consciousness, yes. So I'm trying to come up with a metaphor. So here's one of the things that I'm really bad at is getting the update thing on my computer. It says you have an update. And how often that update's sitting there, right? It's been activated and it's been pushed out to my device. So we get our updates, and it's activated within our multidimensional bodies. However, if I don't hit the button, I do it all the time, like tonight, try tonight. And so I will go weeks and do that before I actually am like, fine, and I'll pull the update in then. So every time I click on, do you want the update? Try tonight, because I don't want to sit and wait for it to update while I'm, wanting to get on Netflix or get on a daily tune in. So, and then when I go to bed, I completely forget to click it to have it update. So it goes weeks. So it's sitting there, but if I don't actually activate and get out of the way, so what is the equivalent to that is if we are sitting in fear because we know this thing is activated within us, we're feeling the discomfort of chaos, right? We're feeling the discomfort of something needing to change, but we don't allow the update to come. We don't allow the change to be made. Then that update's just sitting within waiting. When we finally get to the point where it gets so painful that we just let go and we're like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Or, when we finally get to the point where like, okay, I'm going to allow it and surrender because I know this means expansion. Then the update is free to occur. So hopefully that makes sense. That was a really great question. So with all of us on here on this beautiful all over the world, I just want to send out so much love, so much peace, so much harmony, so much balance, as much balance as can and harmony and love that can come from our hearts in this moment in a beautiful, collective, unified consciousness. All of us, the transformers that are on this place right here, right now, just send out a beam of love from your heart all over our planet to bring peace, love, harmony, and balance to every single human being, every single sentient being, every animal, every piece of nature, every consciousness, including the planet herself, so that we can all navigate the chaos and the change that is here, that is happening, that is coming, that is going to be in our physical realities, and allow it to pass through, knowing it is in the highest and best good for all of us and for every part and every being on this planet, because we know that expansion is happening, and we hold the higher frequency, we hold the higher intention of source consciousness, God, love, spirit, whatever it is to you. It has a divine plan, and it has been playing out behind the scenes for ages now, and we are now privy to it. We are the people who are allowing our consciousness to be the peace for other people and the support for other people, and we are now in the light of what is happening, and it's just simply us to hold the light while all of this change takes place. And we are the peace, we are the balance, we are the harmony, and we are the love that this planet is required to have and to hold until this change has been made. So it is, and so I let it be. And this is now our consciousness, and we beam it out to everyone all across the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all of you being part of this, because we've done something amazingly beautiful, and my palms are sweaty and my voice is shaky, which means there's energy going somewhere. So it's going all over. Okay, you all, love you so much. Come back tomorrow, because I've got even more, and it's going to start making sense. Those puzzle pieces and the pieces that we're putting together are going to fall into place tomorrow even more. And then I think on Friday we're going to just do something, maybe have more of a discussion. I don't know. Who knows what Friday will bring, but tomorrow will definitely be some more puzzle pieces falling into place, so you can understand what this transition has been and what these updates have been behind the scenes. Love to you all. Thank you. Mwah. Have a good one. Bye.